Welcome everyone to another live career training session with me, Professor Heather Austin. Today, you guys, we are talking all about supercharging your resume in 2025 with AI. Now, I have a master resume template I want to share with you in just a second, plus some master AI prompts that you're definitely going to want to get your hands on. So tune in for that. If you can hear me and you can see me, say hello in the chat. A lot of you jumped in early. So happy to see you. Amy jumped in from Memphis. Hello. Ken jumped in from Northern Michigan. So happy to see you here, Ken. Precious is here. Bud Mub is here from East Texas. Tim, happy to have you. Daniel is here from McKinney, Texas. Katie is here from the Gulf Coast. Hello, everyone. I would love to say hello to all of you, but we have so much content to cover today. So say hello in the chat. Let me know where you are joining us from. My amazing team is here in the chat with us. They're going to be helping answer questions. They're going to be helping get questions in front of me. They're going to be moderating the chat, all the good things. So today we are talking about supercharging your resume in 2025. Now, if you have not yet done so, I want you to go and look on your page, wherever you're watching this from, and I want you to click the like button if you see it, and I also want you to click the subscribe button. If you have not yet done both of those things, on this live training, make sure you do that right now. It really helps out our channel. It helps it get in front of more job seekers and more people just like you trying to get ahead in their career. So make sure you tap the like button, make sure you tap the subscribe button. And I want to also mention one more thing. If you have a question, we want to hear your question. If you could type the word question into the chat before you answer your question, it actually shows up yellow on my end, so I can actually see what your question is. And it helps us answer the questions a little bit faster. So you guys, we have a power-packed session for you today. Please have some notes available, note-taking material, a pencil, a pen, a computer, a notepad, whatever that is, because this training session is only going to be live on the internet for a couple of days. It expires on Thursday at midnight Pacific Standard Time. So whatever we cover here today will be gone on Thursday. So make sure you take notes because we are going to cover a lot of information. So I'm going to jump right into slides. And then as you know, if you have ever attended a live training session of mine, I ask lots of questions. So if you've not yet logged into your YouTube account or your Gmail account, make sure you do so that you can participate with us in the chat. You can say hello to all the fellow amazing people that are here with you, and then you can also ask your questions. So let's jump into slides really quick, and we are going to move through the content. The content today is really focused on the future of job applications and really preparing you for 2025. Now, I have a very free resource for you that if you have not yet grabbed this, I want you to go to this link. Let me pop this up here on the screen, heatheraustin.online/resume pack. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the link and I'm going to pop it into the chat for you. The link will also be included in the description of this video if you are catching it on a replay. What I'll do is I'll pin this to the very top of the chat box so that you guys can see it. So those that are here live with us, my team is also going to be popping that into the chat, and they'll be sharing lots of links with you guys today, because we have some amazing free resources. We have a special offer for you at the very end for our exclusive resume writing course. So we have lots of amazing things and links for you guys today. So make sure if you do not have your free resume pack, you're going to want to get that. So heatheraustin.online/resume pack. Inside this pack, you're going to find a resume template, a resume example, and then you're going to find some master AI prompts to help you use AI to better write your resume. So definitely grab that, heatheraustin.online/resume pack. Now, one of my first questions for you, and really think hard about this question, and I want you to give us a thoughtful answer in the chat. What's your biggest challenge when it comes to updating your resume? What's your biggest challenge when it comes to updating your resume? I want you to type that into the chat. While you are typing that in, I want to share a quick story with you, or a quick clip with you from one of my clients, Pam. So I'm going to pop that in. While she's talking, think about what your biggest challenge is when updating your resume and pop that into the chat. Here's Pam. Okay, so I sent a few questions for you. I don't know if you saw them, but and if not, it's not a big deal. I would love to just kind of start by telling me a little bit about who you are and what you do and all that good stuff.
Um, so I'm Pam Pridgeon. I'm a senior contract manager for Alina Health. We're one of the largest care systems in the Twin Cities and regional areas. Hospitals, clinics, ambulatory surgery centers, specialists, pharmacies, transportation, home health, DME. Well, actually, not really DME anymore, but we have the full gamut pretty much. So I am in payer relations and contracting. So I negotiate our contracts with the insurers who cover members in our market.
Awesome. That's so cool. So how long have you been doing that?
So I've been doing healthcare contracting for 33 years. I've
Awesome.
been at Alina since 2005. So
Wow.
18, almost 19 years.
That's so cool. Okay. So tell me a little bit about because obviously you purchased the career advancement toolkit. Tell me a little bit about like why you invested in the toolkit, what challenges or frustrations you were having in your career or job search at that time.
So, where to begin? I had not updated my resume in 15 years, maybe. So very outdated
Mhm.
from just what the market's looking for today, like when you are in that position that you're looking for a new job. So I knew I needed a refresh,
Mhm.
but I wasn't quite sure how to do that myself. Um, a person that I work with had, I'm not going to say insider information, but information about the organization that
Mhm.
we all knew we were having financial difficulties, like most hospital systems in the country today. Financials
Mhm.
are not good
Mhm.
for the vast majority of us. And we had a reduction in force coming. We just didn't know where it was going to hit, who it was going to hit, or how it was going to all play out.
Mhm.
So I didn't want to get caught being part of a riff and not have everything in place to start looking if I needed to. Um, and at the time, we had several consultants in that were, looking under every rock and going through everything that every team that wasn't an actual bedside clinical team. So, pretty much finance, contracting, operations, all of those aspects of our business. And they were looking at, everything. And so, there were a few of us that were a little nervous. And so, had one person that I work with who signed up with somebody to let somebody else write their resume.
Mhm.
Um, Very expensive to have that done. When I learned what she was paying for that, I thought, wow, okay. And what was interesting is her finished product and my finished product after going through your toolkit. And I watched a ton of your videos on YouTube, went through the toolkit, followed all the examples, your action statements on how to write, your results oriented components of it, the refresh on the LinkedIn page under, kind of that about me
Yeah.
piece, just all that kind of stuff. It was interesting because I felt like I actually liked mine more than I liked hers.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, you paid for this. Okay. I
Yeah.
think I got a better deal here. Um, but yeah, I redrafted my resume. I came up with a few different versions of cover letters, which I had written a cover letter, obviously, in many, many years. Um, and then I went through and used it to update my LinkedIn page And I made the effort to go out and get references, and so people, that I've worked with over the years have chimed in on kind of their experiences in working with me and stuff. So yeah, I didn't want to be caught unprepared, and I knew I was totally unprepared for going back into the job market with the information that I had. It was very outdated, very dated, and just verbiage and appearance and all of that. And knowing you talked in some of your videos about AI and the automated deselection almost is kind of how I took it, that you go through when you send stuff through portals or online and things like that to employers when you're applying. So making sure that, the right buzzwords were in there depending on what I was applying for, and then tweaking as I kind of applied for different things. And I did test it. There were some positions that, looked interesting. So I applied as we got closer to the RIF, and I figured, might as well look, and got several callbacks. It was interesting. Once I updated my LinkedIn profile piece, I suddenly had a lot of people reaching out to me. But it was really kind of bizarre to me because I had people reaching out to me from completely different industries, wanting to know if I wanted to leave healthcare and go do contracting in some other industry. And that was a new experience. So
well, it's probably something you hadn't thought of before.
No.
And now the opportunity is presenting itself, and you're like, oh, well, maybe.
Tell me more. Yes.
Yeah. That's awesome. So is there like a specific achievement or milestone, or even like aha moment that as you were going through the information in the toolkit that you can pinpoint? You guys, okay, I cut the clip short just a little bit because I wanted to get into a couple other things when it comes to Pam's story. And as you guys are going through and you're listening to her talking about her trying to figure out her achievement statements, her trying to figure out the best formatting for the ATS. A lot of you had mentioned in the chat some of the same things that she is mentioning. In fact, I see in the chat, a lot of you said, Marita said, knowing how to list my accomplishments. Sharon said, tailoring to each job. Katie said, making the resume ATS friendly. Dawn said, gaps. I see a lot of you in here talking about getting it through the ATS. So we are going to cover all of these challenges here today. Andrea mentioned concerned about the length. We're going to talk about the length of your resume, the ATS bullet points, all of that amazing stuff. So in Pam's story, in fact, the clip that I played was a little bit long. I was trying to share her shorter clip. She talks about at the end of the day, when she had prepared her resume, she followed all the things that we teach inside of our resume writing masterclass and all the things we teach inside of our resume writing course. And she said at the end of the day, she went to her colleagues and her colleagues said to her, hey, who wrote your resume? Because a lot of them had hired professional resume writers to write their resume, and her resume was still hands down better than their resume. So I'm going to show you guys all the amazing tips and tricks so that you can get past all the ATSs and AI-friendly bots and all that amazing stuff in 2025 with your resume. So let me jump back to the slides here. If you stick around until the end, I have a very special invite-only exclusive link to our group career and job search coaching session coming up here at the end of the month, plus a free resume analysis. So if you guys stick around with me all the way until the end of today's presentation, you will get the information on how to join us for both of those. Now let's dive in really quickly to what we are covering today, because again, I have a lot to cover with you. We're going to talk about how to build a clean, concise resume that is applicant tracking system compliant. We're going to not look at that resume just yet, but we will get into some resumes. Give me a second here. We're going to talk about how to write an attention-grabbing resume summary that hits employer-specific pain points. We'll then go into, give me a second. I keep switching over to the the other screen. We're going to talk about how to quickly customize your resume to fit any job, even if you are making a career switch. We'll dive into how to write achievement statements, which a lot of you mentioned that in the chat. Either you said achievement statements, your bullet points, all that amazing stuff. We're going to cover that today. And then finally, we are going to talk about how to properly use artificial intelligence to help you streamline the entire resume writing process. Now, I can't tell you time and time again how many times I see job seekers who are using artificial intelligence the wrong way to write their resume. So today I'm going to be sharing with you some prompts that will help you write a better resume, but make it look like it's still coming from you and not from AI. Now, the other thing, remember, if you go to heatheraustin.online/resume pack, you can grab a free resume template with a free resume example and some master prompts. I believe I've shared 8 master prompts in there. Today, I'm going to be sharing a couple more with you so you can add that to the list as well. Now, next question for you before we move on. How many jobs have you applied to in the last month? How many jobs have you applied for in the last month? Type that into the chat. Now, what we're going to jump into while you're typing that in, our very first thing that we need to cover is basically how to build your ATS compliant resume. Now, I want to just give you kind of like a few little tips on AI or ATS systems, because a lot of people will ask me, hey, Heather, how does this really work? And I have loads and loads of videos that will teach you all the ins and outs of this. But just in a nutshell, you want to think of AI or ATS systems, AI screening or ATS systems, as a software tool that basically streamlines the hiring process, okay? In simple terms, this is very simple. It reviews, it ranks, and it filters your resume based on what you have in there and based on the criteria that they are looking for in the job description or in their ideal candidate. So when you're looking at an AI system, I want you to think of your resume as a 4-part framework. So every single resume, I don't care who you are, needs at least these 4 pieces. And I'm going to share with you in just a second what those 4 pieces are. This is not only going to apply to your AI screening or your ATS systems, it's also going to apply to your human reader, your recruiter, your hiring manager, the CEO, the employer, whoever it is. So there's 4 parts every good resume needs. Make sure you guys are writing this down, okay? The very first part of your resume is always going to be the top part. Now, the top part's easy. It's your name, your contact information, and your resume summary. Now, depending on how many years of experience you have, you may or may not have a larger resume summary. In fact, you may even opt to eliminate your resume summary and instead only have like the job title and the 3 key skills inside that resume. Now, I'm going to go into detail in just a second about the resume summary, so don't get all freaked out or confused about what I'm discussing here right now, but just know that you need that resume summary. After, or the top part of your resume. After the top part of your resume, you're always going to have some sort of work experience or work history. If you don't have a lot of experience, this is again where you can put volunteer experience, you can put freelance work, you can put contract work, you can put gig work, but we need something on here that shows that you have some sort of work history or work experience. Now, after the work experience section, you're going to list your education and your training. Education, again, could be a formal degree. It could be a certification of some sort. It could even be continuing education if you have that. If you do not have an education section, what I would highly recommend you doing, meaning you have no formal education or whatnot, I would highly recommend you pursuing some sort of certifications or training in your area so that you can have some sort of education and training section on your resume. Now, after that, you're going to have what I call skills and other sections. Now, in this example, okay, listen up because I know a lot of you are going to have questions. Listen up, tune in, take notes on this part. In this example, I am showing you a 2-page resume. If you have less than 7 years of work experience, you are going to just stick to a 1-page. You do not need to go on to a 2-page resume. However, if you have more than 7 years of work experience, I like to see you go on to a 2-page resume because you're going to have more work experience. You're going to have more information on that first page. You'll hopefully have some other positions listed on the second page. What you are seeing here on this page, this is an option for other sections you can add to your resume, because I don't want to see you have a 1.5 page resume. If you're going to go a 1.5, you need to either go the whole entire 2 page or take it to a 1 page. Does that make sense? Type yes in the chat if that is making sense, what I just said to you. So if we look at these skills and other sections, we could add a plethora of things, right? We could have professional skills. We could have volunteer experience on this next area. We could have awards and honors. We can have professional memberships. We can have language competencies. We could have technical skills. We could have a lot of sections added to our resume as a supplement. Here's the thing I don't want you to do. I don't want you to just list all these things and try and find things to include there. We are only listing the sections that are going to bring you out in the best possible light no matter what, right? So that's the 4th section, skills and other sections. If you have just one of these on the first page because you're only going to have a 1-page resume, that's perfect. But these are options, and not everyone's resume, remember, is going to look the exact same. Yes, I'm seeing a ton of yeses in the chat that this is making sense. Good, I love it. Yeah, Tane, good question, Tane. So happy that you're here. Tane says, will these AI prompts be added to the toolkit? I have the toolkit. Yep, we will have all the prompts that you need inside the toolkit. In fact, I'm going to share with you guys a special offer in just a little bit for Resume Mastery Pro, which is our exclusive resume writing program. So I'm going to share that in a second, and all of those are included in that as well. Good question, Tane. So happy you could make it. All right, moving on to just a couple last minute reminders when it comes to your ATS friendly resume, because I see these videos on TikTok and YouTube Shorts and all these other people, career coaches, recruiters and whatnot, and they're teaching you these awesome fancy like resume writing programs. And I'm like, no, we don't want anything fancy. We don't want columns. We don't want tables. We don't want images. We don't want charts. We don't want graphics. Okay. Keep that in mind. These are your last minute final reminders when it comes to an ATS friendly resume. You need to use clear hierarchy, which again is going to be all your section headings that I just showed you. You need to use keywords and phrases, and I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. And you need to use easy to read fonts. I like to start with like a Cambria or a Calibri. You could do a 10-point font. You could do a 12-point font. You could go right in the middle and do an 11-point. I wouldn't recommend smaller or larger. So keep this in mind. Take a screenshot of this if you want. In fact, while you're screenshotting, I'm going to show you my cute kissy face mug, my XOXO hug kiss. I shouldn't say kissy face, my hug kiss mug. So take a screenshot of that. Now, my next question for you, so pop into the chat. My next question for you, on a scale of 1 to 5, how ATS friendly is your resume? So on a scale of 1 to 5, based on what you just learned this in the last like 5 minutes, how ATS friendly is your resume? Pop that into the chat. While you're popping that in, let's move into our second item for today, which is your attention grabbing resume summary. And this is so important because we want to make sure this is hitting employer specific pain points. So I'm going to break the summary down for you really, really quickly. So pay attention here, okay? The very top of your resume is going to have, of course, your contact information, but we're going to dive deeper into that summary section. I always want you to see some sort of resume, job title or position title on the resume. The title is the title of the position you are applying for and should be changed for every position you apply for. After that, we're including 3 key skills that hit on specific pain points that the employer is having, or the key skills that are found in the job description. Now, I'm going to share an AI prompt with you in just a second to how you can find those key skills really easily without having to scan through and analyze and reread the job description. We're going to use AI for that. So that's going to be the top part of the resume summary. After that, we are starting with action verbs that we find in the job description that are describing their ideal candidate. So I'm going to test you guys right here. what are the action verbs really quickly that are describing this ideal candidate? Can anyone just type in one that you see on the screen? And hopefully you guys can see this. I want to see if you're paying attention or if you've fallen asleep. So type into the chat, what are the action verbs that I'm using in this example to describe this ideal candidate? And while you're doing that, I'm going to answer a couple questions. So Patrick, hello, says question, page, 1 page or 2 page best. Hopefully you heard when I said 7 years of experience or less, keep it to a 1 page, 7 years of experience, or more than 7 years, a 2 page. There is a caveat to this though, because some companies only want a 1 page, and you need to find out if that's the case with the company you are applying for. Good question. Yes, Catherine, I love you. I'm so happy you're here. It says, don't forget to put question in front of your question because it highlights it on my end, and it totally does, and I love it. Makes it so easy for me to just quickly glance through the chat and see who has asked a question. Good. Okay. Yes, you guys are on it. Energetic, reliable. Yes. Okay. I love it. You guys are so darn smart. Hopefully you've been to a few presentations of mine and you already know the answers to these, and resourceful. Yep. So you'll notice at the top of, or the beginning of this summary, we're choosing 3 action words that are describing the ideal candidate. If you go to the job description and it's not asking for someone that's reliable, energetic, or resourceful, what do you need to do? You need to change those, and you need to put in what they are asking for. Like they might be asking for, I don't know, whatever it is, someone that's detail oriented, which I don't think I would use that word because I would want to use something a little bit different. They might be asking for someone that's collaborative, that's energetic. I don't even know. Whatever they're asking for, you need to put them into the summary. You'll also know that this summary is also reiterating a version of the title, which is Sales, Marketing, and Consulting Professional. You could do that, or you could also just say Vice President of Sales again and repeat it. That's okay. Now, the second part to this summary is going to be where you're talking a little bit more about your experience, the number of years of experience that you have, that you've worked in that specific industry or in the position, and what your greatest accomplishment has been in that area. So that's all you're doing in this, okay? After that, which is kind of going into the last part of the summary, this is where you're explaining in 2 to 3 sentences what you can do for them. So this is really where I'm going to show you in a second a prompt that you can use that will help you understand what it is they're looking for so that you can add this to the resume summary. And then the other thing you want to keep in mind here is you're trying to demonstrate, write this down, you're trying to demonstrate how your professional background and your expertise will help the company solve a particular pain point. Okay, let me say that again. You're going to demonstrate how your professional background and your expertise will help the company solve a particular problem or pain point. So that's what the summary is all about. I still love summaries on resumes. Some people are like, ditch the summary. I still like it because if I'm doing recruiting or I'm trying to find someone, I can pretty much tell if I want to bring that person in for an interview by reading the summary, and it only takes me 2 minutes or 2 seconds to read it. And sometimes I don't even have to read the entire resume. I can just quickly glance at everything else that's on there, make sure they have a few other key things, and then I can decide, hey, I want to have them come in for an interview, right? Without the summary, then they have to take a little bit longer on your resume. So I'm still a proponent of the summary. As soon as I change my tune on that, you guys will be the first to know. So next question for you, what keywords are crucial for your industry or for your resume? So if you're thinking about some keywords that you're going to pop at the very top of your resume, what does that look like, and what would those be? Good question. I'm going to answer some questions while you guys are typing that in. Vishakia, I don't know how to pronounce your name, so sorry. Font size for 1 page. I would start with an 11-point font. If it is looking like it's going to be too small or big or whatever, you could change it from there. I wouldn't go larger than a 12-point, and I wouldn't go smaller than a 10-point. Good question, Patrick. How do you uncover pain point? I'm going to show you in just a second because we're going to use AI to do that. I love it. Peggy says, if career changer, should that be included in the summary? You could include that in the summary. absolutely, where you're talking about, hey, I'm transitioning to this industry because of X, Y, and Z, and you need to have a really compelling case. I think that's a fine spot to put that. Good. Also, I love the keywords that you guys are saying that you need to have in your resume. Keep popping those in. So keywords for your resume or for your industry, what does that look like for you? Type that into the chat. Now, while you're typing that in, let's look at customizing the resume, because I know this is one of the biggest questions that I get about how do I quickly customize my resume? I don't want to spend hours on it, which you should not spend hours customizing. You should already have a nice, clear format, which I gave you guys for free, a resume template with an example. In just a minute, I'm going to share with you where you can actually find our master resume template and example, which is actually a more in-depth and detailed version. It's what I give to all my professionals, my clients, anyone that signs up for any of my programs. That's kind of our starting point. If you get that resume written and it's really well done, it should really only take you 30 seconds to a minute to quickly customize that resume and send it off for the new position, right? So I'm going to share with you guys a brand new formula. I've never shared this with anyone before, not even my Academy students. I'm sorry, you guys, for the Academy members that are here. I have not shared this with you, but don't worry, we'll dive into it deeper into some of our in our coaching sessions. Here's a new formula that I want you to think about for your customizing your resume. Okay, there's 3 parts to this formula. You're going to analyze, you're going to align, and you're going to adapt. So when I talk about analyze, we're analyzing the job posting to understand what those key requirements are. And I'm going to share with you again an AI prompt to help you do this so that you're not spending hours and hours and hours trying to analyze. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to align. When I talk about aligning, you're looking at your keywords, your skills, and your experiences, and you're trying to highlight those from the posting, right? So you're trying to align it all together to show them that you are the best candidate. And then when we look at adapt, right, we want to adapt your resume summary, which I just talked to you about, the title, which I just talked to you about, and then this is maybe not more importantly, but just as importantly, the order of your achievements to show your versatility for the role. Did you guys get that? So you're going to adapt your summary, your title, and the order of your achievements to show your versatility for the role. So there might be times where you might have to switch up a couple bullet points. You might have to list one before another. You might have to switch up some of the skills a little bit just so that they come first. But it should not take you any more than 30 seconds to a minute to do this for every single role. Is this making sense to you? Let me know if this formula that I just shared with you is making sense. Type yes into the chat if you are understanding that. Let's see where we are on questions as well. Yes, I love, good. Christopher, good question, says, is Times New Roman still a good font to use in one's resume? I'm not opposed to Times New Roman. I actually don't love it anymore because it kind of reminds me of like the 90s, right? Or the 2000s. I like to start with a Cambria font, and then you could change it from there if you do. All of our templates we have put inside of a Cambria font. I don't know why, I just like that one. I had a client like a year or 2 ago that sent me his resume and it was in that font, and I'm like, oh, I love this. So that's kind of what we use. But you could try Times. I don't know. It seemed a little outdated to me, if you know what I mean. Yes, good. I love to see that you guys, this is making sense. Okay, career, Travis Simons, hello, happy to have you. Do you use ChatGPT or Copilot? I'm going to show you the tools that I use in just a second, but those are some fantastic ones. In fact, Catherine is here. She's one of our Academy members. I think you use Copilot, Catherine, if I remember right. Didn't you mention that in one of the last calls that we were in? Yes, good. Okay, this is all making sense. Great. Let's move on to, oh geez, there's so much I want to share with you guys, but we're kind of running short on time. When we look at, I'm just going to take a screenshot of this because I wanted to kind of go through each of these individually, but I still want to get to resume reviews, which we have in just a second. I didn't even mention that. Take a screenshot of this. There's a lot to digest on this screen. Inside of our Resume Mastery Pro course, I go into each of these sections in detail, but I wanted to kind of give you an idea of what that looks like when we are talking about the tailoring of the resume. We only want it to take a couple minutes. This formula that I shared with you, that little formula, kind of encompasses what I just talked about, or it encompasses this slide. You're analyzing the job posting, you're matching the keywords, you're updating the summary, you're reordering those skills, and then of course you're showing versatility, right? Now, there is a method to each of these, right? And I show you inside of our program how to quickly do this so that you learn it once, and then when the next resume comes up, you can quickly take 30 seconds to get the new resume updated and sent off, right? So keep that in mind. But take a screenshot of that if you want. I have another question for you. Well, I'll leave this up for just a second. I love it. Whoops, sorry, Catherine. Let me get to this other question. Thoughts on the Arial font, Patrick? I don't love that one either. I think that one's outdated. I just don't like it. I like to stick with the Cambria. You could use the Calibri, which is like the default font in Word. But I don't love the Times or the Arial because it reminds me of the 90s for some reason. Okay, what's one skill you always highlight when tailoring your resume for a new job? One skill, just list that in the chat. What's one skill, or maybe you don't even highlight any skills and you're wondering what skill to highlight. What skill do you think would be the best skill to highlight when you're tailoring any resume, tailoring your resume for any job? So while you're typing that in, the next thing that we need to get to, because I want to get to our AI portion of today's training, is how to write your achievement statements so that they showcase your skills, your talents, and your abilities. So I'm going to run through a quick little framework with you, and this is easy. You guys can all jot these down, and you could probably even memorize this, but I want to share this with you really quickly. When we are talking about achievements, I want you to think about, rather than writing your job descriptions on your resume, you are going to be writing achievement statements. And it's even better if they're results driven. I kind of like to call these active performance statements. So it's showing someone not just the task that you did, but how you did the task and the result of what that task is. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? How you're not just going to write the job description or the task that you did. You're now bringing life into it, and you're saying, hey, this is what I did, but this is how I did it, and this is the result that I achieved from doing it. So there's a couple things to think about when it comes to that, and this is super, super, super easy. I want you to think about outcome, and these are the must-haves for those performance statements or for those results-driven achievement statements. It needs to have an outcome, so it was something like, I did this, and the outcome was what? It needs to have a result. I did this and it resulted in what? It can also have a value. I did this and the value it brought was. So do you see the formula? All we're doing here is we're telling them what we did, and we're giving it an outcome, we're giving it some sort of result, or we're giving it some sort of value. The next one is impact. I did this and the impact it had was what? At the end of the day, take a screenshot of this. You're always looking at problems solved. How did you solve that problem? We don't care about the task necessarily. I mean, we do, and that's great, but we want to know, how did you get there? What were the steps you took? What was the outcome, the result, the value, or the impact? Take a screenshot of this. I've never shared this screenshot either. I've shared this idea in other ways, but this is the first time I've shared this before. So take a screenshot of that. Let me see what questions I can answer in the chat really quick. I love it. Robert says, how do I determine the difference between a result-oriented bullet point and a brag? I feel like most of my bullet points appear as hubris more than achievement. And you know what? You are bragging on your resume, and it's okay to do that. We have the amazing system of AI that can help us either tone it down, tone it up, whatever we want to do. If you're feeling like, hey, I'm bragging a little bit, it's probably okay. It's probably not that much of a brag, but if you're like, hey, this is what I did and it sounds so awesome and blah, 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 you have to think about, you are selling yourself. So you have to brag. If you're like, this sounds a little bit too boasty, right? You could go to AI and you could say, hey, can you tone this down a little bit? Or help me not sound so boastful in this bullet point on my resume. That's something that you could do. But that's a really good question. I get that all the time. But don't be afraid to brag. All right, the next thing that I want to show you guys, there's so much. And by the way, we dive really deep into our inside of Resume Mastery Pro, all of the amazing formulas to help you write your achievement statements. I give you action verbs that you can use. I give you examples. Let me just share one example of how you can turn like a super simple task, right? Like someone will say, handled customer complaints, into an amazing bullet point that has those outcomes, that show the value, that has the result. So instead of saying something like handled customer complaints, which by the way, I do get resumes every week here, and I do see sentences like this. We're going to say something like revamp the customer complaint resolution process, resulting in a 35% in decreased customer complaints and achieving a customer satisfaction score over 90% within 1 year. What I want you to notice here in this bullet point, the one that we're revising, we have 3 units of measurement. We're measuring the customer complaints, the customer satisfaction, and then we also have a timeline. So this is a power-packed statement over just handled customer complaints. Now, if I needed to, I could make this much simpler, right? And by the way, inside our program, I teach you exactly how to put these sentences and the structure together, and of course, how to use AI to make it sound even better, but not make it sound like it came from AI, right? Because we want to make sure we personalize that process. Now, before we jump into the AI portion of this, can you share an example of a time when you achieved a measurable result or a measurable result? Let me take this A out of here. I'm going to edit my slides right on the go. So share an example of a time when you achieved measurable results. Type that into the chat if you can think of something really quick on the fly. And by the way, I'm hoping you can, because hopefully you're going to be entering into the interview process soon if you're not already, and you need to be able to think quick on your feet whenever any question comes up. Writing the resume is just the first piece to that because it helps you prepare for that interview. So type a measurable result into the chat. While you're typing that in, let's jump into the part that I love the most, and that's how harnessing AI. Now, when we talk about harnessing AI, I talked to my Academy members about this just this last week. I do not love all the resume builders out there because I feel like you do not have control over the resume itself. You feed the information or you give it some ideas and it can give you the information back. But I love to have a Word doc that I'm working on or a Google Doc that I have full control over. And then I can use a separate tool like Google Gemini, ChatGPT, or Copilot, which someone mentioned earlier. And I can have it help me write piece by piece each part of my resume. I have found the most success with that with my clients, my Academy members, our toolkit members, anyone that ever invests in our programs. When we go through their resume, we have much more success finding a standalone tool like ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Copilot to help us write the resume rather than using an entire resume building platform. So just keep that in mind. I'm just throwing out my opinion. I might change that opinion in a year, 2 years, 6 months, who knows? And I will let you guys know when I do. But for now, I like to stick with chat.openai.com, which is just ChatGPT. So that's one of the first tools, or you can even use gemini.google.com, which is Google Gemini. Now, I will tell you, I used to be I will tell you this. I use ChatGPT every day. That's my number one go-to for almost everything. Gemini's picking up steam though, and I think they are going full blown into all the AI for all of their Google products like Docs, your sheets, all that stuff. So I would suggest to you guys to start learning how to use this if you don't know how to use this already, because I guarantee this is going to be, if it's not already, something that when you get into the workforce, if you're not already in there, you're going to need to know how to use these. And if you do not have any AI training, you need to go find training right now and get it ASAP, because it is a skill that employers want their employees to have, right? So I like ChatGPT. Google Gemini is great. Also, Copilot, if you wanted to use that. I have not used it. I would love to know any other tool that you guys are using that is working for you. Feel free to type that into the chat if you want, just so we can collaborate and see what's working best. Now, I have 3 prompts to share with you. There is a version of these prompts in the free resource that I shared with you. In fact, the free resource that I shared will have a link to a Google Doc with prompts in it. The ones I'm sharing here are a little bit different. Feel free to add those to that Google Sheet. And by the way, when you get to that Google Sheet, if you have not yet already gone there, you'll have to make a copy of the Google Sheet. So make sure you do that, and then you can edit and you can add your own prompts. I think I'm starting with like 8 prompts on that sheet. Here's the cool thing though, now that you have that free resource, I update that, and you can always come back and look at that free resource because you'll have the link to the shared file. All right, so let's look at this first prompt. This is one of my favorite. Someone had asked earlier about how do you analyze and decide on what's the most important thing in the job description? Well, this is the prompt you use. You say, hey there, or whatever you want to say to it. Here's a job description for a position I'm interested in. Can you analyze it and identify the top 10 to 15 key skills required for this role? Now, the thing I love about this prompt is it's going to give you, and by the way, you have to paste the job description. You have to give it the job description. It's going to give you the top 10 to 15 key skills that it's recognizing in that job description. If you wanted to give it more information, you could talk to it about, here's the company's vision, here's the company's mission, here's what's on their website. You could give it more information, and then you could ask it, what would be the top 10 to 15 key skills required for an ideal candidate for this position, for this company? So there's a lot of different ways you could ask that, but that's the first one. And by the way, there is a version of this one on that Google Doc. The second one is you going in to write your achievement statements or your active performance statements. So you're saying, hey, can you help me write 4 to 5 results-driven achievement statements for my resume, for my position as, let's say it was a project manager position, you list that there. Please make them impactful and include relevant keywords. And you could even go on even more and say, make them results-driven, whatever. Here's what I did. And then you're going to just list a task. You're going to say something like, I did this. I filed papers. Not that you filed papers, but I'm just giving you some random ideas. You're going to list this task, that task, whatever it is. And it's going to take those tasks that you listed and it's going to put them into some nice, easy to read bullet points. Now, can you copy and paste and use exactly what it's giving you from here? Probably not. You're probably going to have to prompt it a little bit more. You're probably going to want to take like each bullet point individually, rephrase it a little bit, add your own touch to it, make sure it doesn't sound like it's coming from AI, right? So there's a few little things you'll need to do to really make this great, but this is a really good starting point for you. Now, the last prompt that I want to share with you, and then we are going to do resume reviews because, by the way, we had hundreds of people submit their resume to be reviewed for today's show. I have 2 amazing people that I picked from all the people, and I'm like, who should I choose? And we picked 2 people, so I'm going to pop those up in just a second, and we will go through that review. And then, of course, I want to share a little bit more with you guys about Resume Mastery Pro in just a second. But let me share this last prompt with you. So again, take a screenshot of this one. And this one I do not believe is, oh, you know what? There is a version of this on the Google Doc that you will get in that free resource. So this one says, I need help tailoring my resume to a specific job posting. Can you assist me in identifying and incorporating the relevant keywords, skills, and experiences from the job posting into my resume. So the thing with this prompt is I'm hoping by the time you're prompting it here, you have a pretty darn good structure of your resume already. So remember earlier when I shared that 4-part framework that every really amazing ATS-friendly resume needs to have, you followed that, you've kind of sliced and diced each piece of the resume, and you pretty much have it put together. Maybe it's not perfect, but it's pretty good. And then you come back in and you ask it to help you tailor it, help you refine it, help you make it better. Make sure it doesn't sound like AI wrote it. Make sure it's personalized. Like there's so many amazing prompts you can give to your AI assistant that will help you really dive deep in and make an amazing resume. So take a screenshot of that. Let me see what questions we can jump into really quick. Great question. Peggy says, is Gemini free to use? Yes, Gemini is free to use. ChatGPT is as well, but you can also get the paid version, which is what I have. Okay, Blessed says, how do you recommend indicating a layoff? I was a part of mass layoff and have put an end date, not sure what the reason is, but not seeing any real calls for interviews I'm experienced. So I would say this depends on the position. This depends on your industry that you're coming from, the company you're coming from. When it comes to a layoff, you're generally going to have the position, right? And then the termination date, or when, let's say, you had a package that they're providing for you, you're going to put the end date of when that package would end in the resume. You can include, and by the way, I do have a module on this inside of Resume Mastery Pro where I show you exactly where to put your layoff and how to address it. We don't want you to focus on the layoff. You can mention it, right? Especially if there was a massive, back when COVID was going on, we would list something about COVID causing it or restructuring or whatever it might be. That's okay. But the idea here is we don't want to focus on that. We want to focus on your experience. We want to focus on the results, the outcome, the value you brought to the company that you were just at. And now what's the new value? What new results are you going to bring? How are you going to show up for them now? Why are you the best candidate now? I feel like so many times we focus on that layoff when really that shouldn't be your concern. You should really be focusing on how awesome you were in your previous position and how awesome you're going to be in the new position. And then you could sprinkle in maybe something in the resume, but I almost would even put it there. I would almost, I have to see your situation, position, where you're going, so on and so forth. I would almost mention it when you're in job interviews, or maybe even in a cover letter or in an introduction cover letter, in an email type thing, if that makes sense. That's a good question. All right, let me show you this other, let's see, this really quickly. So you guys do have access to the free resume template and example inside of the resume ATS-friendly resume pack that I shared with you. Again, if you guys want to grab that, that's heatheraustin.online/resume pack. That will give you a template, an example, and some prompts. This resume right here is part of our paid programs. This is actually our master resume template, and I have almost every single person start with this, and then we adjust it based on their experience. We adjust it based on what types of skills they have, what industry they're applying for. This example resume is included inside of Resume Mastery Pro. In addition to this resume, we have a resume template in addition to the example, but we also have the basic resume template and example, which you guys have access to for free. But we also have our recent graduate resume template and example inside of Resume Mastery Pro. If you have little work experience, that's a whole separate resume template. If you have no work experience, that's a whole separate resume template. If you are career transitioning or you have employment gaps, that's a whole separate resume template. Or if you need like an academic curriculum vitae. That's a whole nother separate resume template. All of those are inside of Resume Mastery Pro. And I'm going to share with you guys a little bit about that in just a second. But just know that you have access to the basic resume template, which is free. But then if you decide to join us in Resume Mastery Pro, you'll get all these other amazing resources that I'll share with you guys in just a second. So I want to know in the chat, what is your biggest takeaway so far from today? So type into the chat what your biggest takeaway is so far from today. And we'll get to some more questions too, because we have resume reviews to do, and I really want to get those up on the screen for you guys as well. So before today's session, I had sent out an email to all of our amazing registrants, so all the people that signed up officially for this class. And a lot of you had mentioned just your challenges with writing a resume. Some of you had told me, look, I haven't updated my resume in such a long time. I don't even know where to start. Some of you had mentioned that your current job search strategy isn't working and you feel like you're getting more rejections and even ghostings than anything else. Some of you even mentioned that you're starting to second guess your experience and your skills because of the lack of response. Some of you even mentioned, hey, I really want to know how or learn how to use AI tools properly in my job search so that I can start getting seen and noticed. Now, for most of you, and we got hundreds of responses about today's workshop. For most of you, I know that landing a life-changing job offer is on the top of your mind, right? I know a lot of you want a better work-life balance. It's not just about finding a new job or making money and all that great stuff. I know a lot of you had mentioned that I just want to spend more time doing things with people I love. I want to spend more time doing things I love. Now, I want to invite you guys to join us inside of Resume Mastery Pro. So I've talked a little bit about the program during today's workshop. We are going to be hosting a 2-day flash offer for this program. So Resume Mastery Pro is our comprehensive, in-depth resume writing course where you'll discover key strategies to craft a standout resume. And here's the most important part: gain a newfound confidence in your abilities and your value, because that was the one thing, the reoccurring message we heard over and over and over from people is, I'm second guessing now what I can really offer a company. And our number one goal is to help you gain that newfound confidence. And I want to share a couple of success stories with you. And then I'll dive into what the program looks like. And then we're going to do resume reviews, believe it or not, before today ends. So Andrea had sent a message in and she said, I got to get my glasses on for this. This always happens to me because the writing is so small on my end. She says, I acquired the Career Advancement Toolkit along with Resume Mastery Pro. She said, my heartfelt gratitude goes out to you for all the outstanding content and helpful materials you provided. You fostered a supportive community, reassuring me that I wasn't alone and that numerous other gifted individuals were facing the same challenges as myself. Now, if I remember right, someone earlier had popped that same comment into today's chat that said, I'm so happy to know I'm not alone. She said, tomorrow marks the beginning of my new role as Director of Marketing. She says, I firmly believe that this role at this organization will offer me the platform to display my expertise and experience, fostering both my professional and personal development and facilitating upward progression with the enterprise. So here's the thing, you guys. We the reason why I do what I do is for messages like this, and we get these every day from folks that have joined our programs, attended workshops like this, invested in some sort of service or platform or program. And this is why we do what we do. Let me share another success story with you. Here is Spencer. Now his story, I think when he wrote in, I was like crying. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so touching. So Spencer is actually an opioid addiction counselor and a career counselor. So he actually helps folks land positions, but he was able to land a position and now he's helping others land positions. So here's what he said. He said, this is the first time I go home feeling good about the day and excited about the future. I followed Heather's ideas to a T and it all worked. He said, I see resumes that have every single mistake one can make, and via correcting them, so he learned from what I teach and now he's helping as an opioid addiction counselor and a career counselor. He says, I'm able to help them find work that empowers them to dig out the holes they have dug for themselves. I write this to say that Heather's work not only helped me, but empowered me to help countless others. I got the career and job I wanted, and you can too. Now, I want to share another quick video with you. This is Kelly, and then we're going to dive into what's inside of Resume Mastery Pro, and then I do want to get to resume reviews in just a second here. So let me pop Kelly's video up really quick. I am so glad that we can catch up. Actually, hang on. I'm going to get a different video of Kelly because that is also, this is her long video. So I am not going to share that one because that's our, you guys don't want to stick around for 18 minutes. And I shared with you Pam's long video, and we're not going to do all the, let me see if I can hurry and find her video really quick because you guys will want to hear her story. It's so inspiring. Kelly's actually a graphic designer. So one of her, and while I'm getting this prepared for you, sorry, give me a second. I know I went black. While I'm getting this prepared for you, you will see that what happened with her is she had oh shoot, where is her video? Oh, darn it. Darn it. Give me a second, you guys. I'm almost there. I know you can't see me, but hang on one second. Where is Kelly? Okay, this is Kelly. Here we go. Let me pop her up, you guys, because her story is so darn inspiring.
So I have been a graphic designer for 15 years. I had worked various jobs and recently got a job at my dream job as a visual communications instructor at the community college where I started.
Tell me a little bit about your job search challenge or biggest frustrations that you were having before you invested in the toolkit.
I was applying to a lot of different positions that I was qualified for, but I wasn't hearing back from them. I began searching of reasons, why am I not getting called back? As a graphic designer, your portfolio is everything. And my portfolio was there. But what I discovered was that my resume was lacking. So I started YouTubing and found you. And from there, learned that my layout was not conclusive in the right environment for a bot to read over. It was looking at it as an image instead of text like it should be. After watching many of your videos, I was like, I need to have a plain Jane, better formatted resume. So I have my plain, the template that you gave resume, and then I have a fancy one that I take to job interviews.
That's so smart. Like, what specific milestones or successes have you had as a result of using the toolkit? You mentioned earlier you're in your dream job.
Before I landed this job, job before last. I had worked in the hunting industry for 8 years as their graphic designer in-house. And that's where I was kind of stagnant in my job search. And so I kind of got really determined I want to find a better job. I started with your toolkit, redid my resume, complete, overhaul, of course, overhauled my portfolio and started applying to jobs and started getting twice as many interview requests. One of those interview requests came in the form of a defense contractor. They were really interested in me. So I came and interviewed for the job. I went from making $40,000 a year to $57,000 a year. And I think that was based on my resume. The toolkit also helped with applying for this visual communications job. I really appreciated the AI prompt kit that you've added. It really helped me as far as like a jump off point. I could put in, like you suggested, put in the description for the job, extract the keywords. What do I need to put in my resume? What do I need to be saying? How do I need to word this? It did it. I put it together and submitted it for this job and got it.
Would you say the AI/chat GPT part was the most helpful resource, or inside the toolkit, what would you say would be the most valuable?
No, definitely the most valuable was the lessons about the resume template. Not the template, but yes, the template itself. But if you only had the template, you wouldn't know how to correctly fill it in. So without the lessons, learning about, quantitative statements, qualitative statements. Mine was more qualitative because it's hard to quantify. But those tips and tricks and just lessons that you taught in there helped me fill out my resume. So yes, the template was great and wonderful. but
Yeah.
it was the lessons of how to do it.
Yeah.
And then even it continued to help too when I got this job of how to resign from my previous job. And I
Yeah.
resigned in such a way that they asked me to stay as a
Oh,
casual.
wow.
So now I work part-time for them while I'm
Oh,
still working.
wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Good for you. So, what would you tell a friend that was thinking about investing in the toolkit, or even a friend that was in the job search? What would you tell them about the toolkit?
It's an investment in yourself, and you deserve to have the job you want. You deserve to have a good job that you like going to, that you feel fulfilled. Investing in yourself and investing in this toolkit allows you to achieve that.
Okay, you got to love technical difficulties. It wouldn't be a live stream without something going wrong. Anyway, so what I love about Kelly's story is she talks about how she was applying for positions that she was qualified for, but she wasn't hearing back. Now, let me know in the chat, type yes if her story resonates with you. She also said that she used her program, she increased her salary by 40% to land her dream job. And then what I love about what she said the most toward the end is she said, you deserve to have the job you want. And don't you find it interesting that as a graphic designer, she also said, hey, I had like my really pretty graphic design resume, but then I needed like a boring plain Jane resume to get past the ATS. So again, that's what we teach you guys inside of Resume Mastery Pro. So I want to share really quickly what is inside the program, and then we are going to jump into resume reviews. As always, you guys, we have some amazing bonuses that go along with the program that we've never introduced before. So tune in for that, because what I'm going to share with you guys is a power-packed program that is going to get you from A to Z faster than you can imagine. So inside of Resume Mastery Pro, we have everything broken down into 12 modules. So our first module is the purpose of your resume. So this is where we talk about showcasing your skills and selling your skills, right? So we really dive deep into that. We go through the contact information, which I know you wouldn't think that we would need a whole lesson on how to write contact information on a resume, but I have it in there. We talk a lot about your resume headline, so that's in there as well. In lesson 4, we go through the professional career summary, which you guys learned a little bit about the summary today and the different parts that go into that summary, but we dive deeper into that inside of the Resume Mastery Pro. Lesson 5, we go through your work experience, right? So this is where we really give you that formula of the action verb, the action plus task plus result. So I didn't share that example with you today, but inside the program, we dive deep into that, really helping you pinpoint the right action verbs to use, how to really format those sentences so that they are performance driven. We also talk about the education and training section, training section. This is where I give you some ideas about certifications or other things that you can put into that section if you don't have a formal education. But if you do, I show you how to properly write that formal education inside of that lesson. Lesson 7 is where we talk about licenses and certifications. So this is very similar to education and training, but you can break these two sections apart if you have multiple licenses and certifications, and I show you how to do that inside this lesson. The other thing we dive deep into is those other important supplemental sections that I talked about. Now, not every resume is going to be the same. Yours isn't going to look like my resume, right? I might have a different supplemental section on mine over what you do. One of my favorites, which I didn't even mention this today, is a technical skills section. So we talk a lot about what other sections can you put into your resume and what does that even look like? And will that be the best, show you in the best possible light? The other thing we go into is those results-driven achievement statements. So this is where we really dive into how to put all of those together. And remember, results-driven achievement statements are not just in the bullet points of your resume. They're in the summary, they're in volunteer experience, they might even be in a professional memberships section. So there's a lot of things to think about when it comes to that. Excuse me, in lesson 10, we talk about tailoring your resume. So I gave you an AI prompt that you could use today to help you do that. But again, I walk through the exact steps so that you understand what you're asking AI when you go in to tailor your resume. Lesson 11 dives into the resume design and formatting. So a lot of you guys asked formatting questions today about font, size, so on and so forth. This is where I show you margins. I show you if your resume, the font's too big, if it's too small, all that good stuff, so that it not only is getting past the ATS with those main section headings, but then when it comes to a human reader, they're like, this looks fabulous. And then, of course, lesson 12 is conquering the ATS. We talked a little bit about the ATS system today, but I dive deeper into what the ATS is, how it actually works, and all those amazing things. Now, we do have essential bonus lessons that we've included inside the program. So this is where we talk about your employment gaps and career transitions. So again, that's going to be a whole separate resume. Compared to like our master resume that we offer in the program. If you have little or no work experience, your resume is going to look a little bit different in there as well. If you have a curriculum vitae, we do get a lot of folks that actually go in and are writing a longer resume because they're applying for a research position, a teaching position, something in academics or the medical field or whatever, and we need a longer resume. That's fine too. And then this one, I need to change the title on this because this is actually our AI lesson. So we have a separate lesson dedicated to using AI in writing the resume. So that's basically Resume Mastery Pro in a nutshell, but I want to share with you guys the bonuses that you get when you enroll or when you sign up. So we have our Career Experts template and example vault. In fact, I want to share just a quick, we're just barely getting this up online, separated all of our templates and our examples separated from all of our programs so that it's all in one place. Let me show you a quick example of what that looks like if you were to go inside of the content of the course. And I'm not going to go through all these because we could be here forever because there's hundreds of them. But as you dive in, you'll notice that we have your resume templates and examples. We have so it gives you all of the different resume templates that you're going to have access to with examples. And then we also have your cover letter templates and examples. So you'll be able to see all of those in there. We do have your LinkedIn optimization and networking templates. We also have your job interview answer templates and examples. We have your follow-up templates and examples, your AI, all of the AI prompts. We have over 120 plus AI prompts just for job seekers that actually break down how to use AI for every single part of the process. So that is inside of our career templates and example vault. In fact, we just hired a new team member, Clarice, and I don't know if Clarice is here today, and she's going to go in and count all of the templates and examples because there's so many, and I know I have over 60 on the enrollment page, but there's plenty more in there. So she's going to count them up for us, and then I'll update that number. Now, if you decide to join us inside of Resume Mastery Pro, you also have access to some crucial free gifts. And when I say crucial, I mean these are essential in your job search. So our job interview confidence training, which we actually just hosted this a couple weeks ago, this is going to be located inside of your course library. I think this is like an hour, almost 2 hours of additional training on just job interviewing. So that's in there. We also have our AI-powered job search tutorial with the 120 master prompts. So I just shared just a handful of prompts with you guys here today, but there are prompts that you need for every part of your job search, especially if you're just starting out. And I share that inside of this training. We have our free gift number 3, which is our essential cover letter workbook and workshop. So that will teach you how to write that cover letter, how to use AI to do the cover letter. All that amazing stuff is located in there. Now we've added a couple other Power Packed VIP bonuses, and I call them Power Packed VIP bonuses because they are. So we have our 3-part job search mastery mini series. This is newly updated as in 2 months ago, where we take you through every single part of the job search process. In fact, we added this up, and it's actually 7 hours of additional content on every single part of the job search process. Where do you get started? How do you do your networking? How do you use LinkedIn in the whole thing? How does your resume come into play? How do you do salary negotiation? All of that is inside that mini series. We also have our LinkedIn job search thought leadership mini series that we've recently updated. This is 5 hours of extra information just on LinkedIn. And this actually breaks down LinkedIn step by step on how to build out your profile, how to do your job searching, but not only that, how to become a thought leader on the platform and use the newsfeed properly. So all of that is included inside of Resume Mastery Pro. Now we do have our insider bonus, which a lot of you may or may not already have the Career Advancement Toolkit. This is actually one of our most popular career resources. That is an insider bonus for Resume Mastery Pro. So if you do join us in Resume Mastery Pro, you do have access to that. And then you guys know I always love to throw in fast action bonuses for people who like to take action fast, because the folks that take action fast, I know that you guys are serious about really making a transformation. So we are adding 20 spots. So this is only going to go to the first 20 people who join us in Resume Mastery Pro, which this may or may not be sold out by the end of the day. You get to join us in our next group career and job search coaching session. And by the way, I'll give you the date for that. It's on November 21st. So the week before Thanksgiving week, if you're here in the States, you'll be able to join us for that. It gives you some time to get in, start exploring the content, look at what Resume Mastery Pro is, get your resume solidified, get your cover letter solidified, do all the additional bonus material. And then that allows you to come to our session on the 21st and ask some amazing, thoughtful questions about challenges you might be having. Of course, I always present topics during those sessions as well. And I say 60 minutes. Sometimes we are online for 2 hours. It just depends on who's there and how many questions we have. So that will also be as a fast action bonus, but that's only going to go to the first 20. So if you're really looking forward to this and you really want to get started, I would highly recommend doing it today to be able to get access to that. Now, our last bonus is our limited time bonus. Now, here's the catch to this one. This one does expire today, and the reason why is because this one is super, super, super important. And if I let this go for the whole entire 2 days, I wouldn't possibly be able to get to all of these resume reviews. But we are including a personal resume review, which is a detailed analysis of your resume with personalized feedback on how to improve your resume. You get an email with, send me your resume, do you have a job description? And I record a video specifically for you on your resume and your job description if you have one, and how to make it better. So you're definitely going to want to join us for that, but this expires today. So if you decide not to join us today, you still have access to amazing bonuses and amazing content inside the program. But if you do join us today, you will get the expiring bonus, which is the personalized resume review. Now, you're probably wondering, Heather, what the heck is this program even worth? And how much is it? So if you join us today, I want you to keep in mind that the total value of all the lessons, the templates, the trainings, the guides, all of the resources, and we have added this up, is worth more than $7,370. If you decide to join us today, it's not going to be $7,370. And normally we have this program priced at $597. But if you decide to join us today, you can join us for just $397. Now keep in mind that this special flash offer ends on Thursday, November 7th at 11:59 p.m. So for all of my folks who need a little bit of time to decide, that's totally okay. Go get some thoughts in order. But if you want to join us, make sure you do it before Thursday. Now, to access the program and get access to everything that I showed you, which I think everything is immediate access. We are still loading some of the templates inside of the Career Experts and Template Vault, but everything else, which is hours and hours and hours of amazing job search content, is available for you right now for just $397. You need to go to heatheraustin.online/live offer. My team and I are going to pop the link into the chat for you. I will also place the link at the top of the chat for those that are watching the replay. This link should be located inside of the description. So you'll have the link there, which I just placed in. My team member is going to pop it in as well. And then I will pin it in just a second. Sometimes the chat takes a second for me, but I'll pin this in just a second. And oh, by the way, let me just share this really quickly. The final step is you will enter a secure checkout system using either PayPal or your credit card. If you decide to join us, let me share a couple success stories with you, and we still have some resume reviews to do. I want you guys to meet Erin. So Erin actually found her dream job and she increased her pay. So not only did she apply, when she applied, she only applied to 2 companies. She says, your resume, cover letter, and interview guidance successfully helped me in receiving 2 job offers. But here's the crazy thing. She only applied to 2 job offers after she had been working part-time out of the industry for 10 years. So she hadn't even been working full-time. She hadn't even been in the industry for 10 years, but she was able to format her resume, write her cover letter, use the interview guidance to get those 2 job offers. And she says, I was able to find my dream job. I love that she says that, which carries the benefits of increased pay and, most importantly, work in an area which I find rewarding. I truly believe it was your method of guidance and teaching that led me to successfully receiving those 2 job offers. So our number 1 goal for you is to not go out and apply for hundreds of positions. I don't even know if I want you to apply for 30. I want you to apply specifically for positions that fit you and your industry and your skill set and land those job offers and not sit and listen and wait for rejections, right? So that's the number 1 goal for you. Let me share another success story with you. This is from Marilyn. Marilyn just wrote in with us. I want to thank you, Heather, so much for helping me land a job. She says, using all of the coaching and videos you have provided really helped me land a job in HR, which was my target field. She said, you helped me stay up to date on the latest job search tools and strategies. Most effective in my job search has been the resume template and learning about AI. So you guys, if you know anything about resumes and how much I love resume templates, you know that our templates are award-winning templates because they, time and time again, we get these messages from job seekers that use our resources and use our templates to land a job in their target field. Here's what Robert said. So he says, I've been a realtor for the past 9 years. And before that, I was in the U.S. Army for another 7. So I had no need, nor have I written a resume. So he hadn't even written a resume because he didn't need one. He says, I used your resume template and followed all of your instructions to the letter and landed an interview with the exact company I was interested in. I'm using your interview guide cheat sheet, which, by the way, is also located in as a bonus inside of Resume Mastery Pro. He says, I was thrilled to know that you provided everything I needed to prepare and land this position. So let me recap and then we'll go into resume reviews. Inside of Resume Mastery Pro, you'll get the 12 information-packed resume writing video lessons, which I shared with you guys exactly what those are. You'll get the 4 essential bonus lessons, which again cover some of those special case scenarios, career gap, career transition, no experience, curriculum vitae if you're applying for a position in research or academia. We do have the 3 free gifts in there, which is your job interview confidence training with a guide, which that is updated within the last couple weeks. You have your AI-powered job search tutorial with 120 plus prompts. And by the way, those prompts cover, if I were to remember correctly, there's 11 phases of the job search, or maybe even 9, and there's prompts for every single phase. Salary negotiation, your interview questions, your resume questions, all that amazing stuff. Because I know sometimes it can get confusing when it comes to AI and where do I really go with it? How much can I really use it? Which I say use it as much as you can. Free gift number 3 is our cover letter workshop with a workbook. So you'll also have access to that. Our 2 VIP bonuses, again, your 3-part job search mastery mini series, which that is, what did I say, 7 additional hours of job search strategy. And that's newly updated within the last couple of months. So you'll have access to that. Our LinkedIn job search and thought leadership mini series, that's going to teach you how to build out your profile, how to use the job search tools, and how to become a thought leader in your industry. So again, that's in there as well. Our insider bonus is the career advancement toolkit. Remember, the fast action bonus is only going to go to the first 20 people that join us inside the program. That's going to be a group career and job search coaching consultation on November 21st. So I'd love to see you in there. And that happens over Zoom, by the way. And then, of course, the expiring bonus, which ends today, is a personalized resume review with detailed feedback of your resume and how to make it even better. So also, not to mention lifetime access to all of this information. So normally, or the total value of this is $7,370. You're not going to pay that today, right? Normally it's $597. You're definitely not going to pay that. If you join us during our flash offer, today's price is $397. So hopefully you guys will decide to join us in there. By the way, the short link, heatheraustin.online/live offer, or you can click the link that's pinned in the chat or the link that is down below in the description of this video if you are watching on replay. Just a couple more success stories. Troy wrote in and said, I wanted to give you a thank you for the resources and encouragement your videos and lessons have given me. He said, and then he said, actually you, which I didn't, but he did, just using my teachings, revised my resume and updated my LinkedIn profile. He said he applied for 3 positions, received an interview and an offer from his favorite potential employer in just 1 week. He says, my interviewer is now my direct. Oh, wait, sorry. Let me do this. And then he says, after I accepted their offer, he heard back from the other 2 companies as well. He says, my interviewer is now my direct manager. And his words were, your resume hits every need we have. And then later, Troy found out from a coworker that his resume stood out among 50 to 60 resumes. So this is our number 1 goal for you, is that you're not searching for weeks and weeks and weeks and months and months and months, that you're having a targeted job search, that you're applying for the positions that not only you want, but that fit your skills and abilities, and that you're taking the right steps to submit your application materials, do the networking, do all the amazing things, and get a job offer, your ideal job offer, right? Or your life-changing job offer. We don't want you to be sitting on this for months and months and months. So again, that's Troy's story. Go to heatheraustin.online/live offer. Terry wrote in as well, your guidance helped me polish up my LinkedIn, rev up my resume, and helped me ace the interview to get a fabulous job offer for a position that I believe I will really enjoy. And he says, I'm a 57-year-old fossil who is 10 years out of the job search market. I couldn't have done it without you. So I want to know from you guys if this sounds doable to you in terms of getting your resume up and running. I know a lot of you had mentioned earlier in the chat that you're confused about the bullet points, the accomplishment statements, the how to use AI to incorporate all of that, how to write your resume summary, all those little details that go into an amazing resume, how to customize it. After today's session, hopefully you're all typing yes into the chat, because I gave you some amazing key takeaways that you could go and apply today. And if you decide you want to join us inside of Resume Mastery Pro, you definitely can and take advantage of all of those fast action bonuses and offers. And we've never put Resume Mastery Pro together like this. In fact, let me mention this. We have not offered Resume Mastery Pro as a standalone course since last November. So I don't know if we're going to offer it again as a standalone course for another year. We have lots of other workshops and programs and things planned for you guys in the future, especially going into 2025. But if you decide you want to join us, we have not offered this ever, and like we do now. And you'll definitely want to join us if any of this material sounds like it will really help you. And by the way, yes, Catherine mentioned in the chat, the replay to this masterclass is only going to be available until Thursday. So if you need to go back and listen to any of the content that I shared with you, make sure you do that. I want to get into resume reviews, you guys, because this is actually one of my favorite parts of the workshop. In fact, I keep saying to myself, I got to do a workshop with just resume reviews, because this is where I feel like so much of the learning happens in these sessions. So let me pop over to, see if I can pull up the resumes. Oh yeah, okay, got it. That was easy. That did not have a technical difficulty. Let me see where you guys are with questions too. I want to make sure I get some of those answered in case I missed anything. Yeah, there were a lot of questions that came in. Good questions. Maria has some awesome questions. What is the ROI for this program? Percentage of people who got a job? How long? Let me pop her question up. How long did it take to get a job? So, Maria, the ROI, I don't even have a number on that. I do know what I will say from our clients, our academy members, people that join our program, compared to folks that go to YouTube, because we have so many videos on YouTube, and you could piece all this together on your own if you wanted. It's actually a lot faster in terms of, because the content's laid out so well and easily for you, that it's like, hey, step 1, do this. Step 2, do this. And I give you the resources and the guidance and the templates for every single part of the process, especially with the 2 bonuses that we've added to this enrollment phase, your job search mastery mini series, and then the LinkedIn job search and thought leadership training. That's all broken down step by step as well. So it's not like you have to think, oh crap, what's next? Now what do I do? You have like a whole entire roadmap for you, which streamlines the entire process and allows you to land a job faster. Now, I will say it depends on your industry. It depends on your experience. It depends on what position you're applying for. So if anyone has a question, by the way, Maria, if you wanted to email me too, we could even talk about your exact situation and see if it would be a good fit for you. Heather@professораustin.com is my email. So if you guys want to email me there, you can. Good question. Let me see if there's anything else that came up. Yes, I love it. Okay, Maria, you have some awesome questions. Your questions are popping up for me all over the place. Are these tutorials and courses recorded videos to watch? Is there an option to email staff if we have questions on the recorded videos? Yes. So everything is recorded inside of our online course platform. When you log in, you'll be able to see all the different courses and programs, right? And then you'll kind of just move down the line from like lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3. You can move through it as fast as you want. You can move through it as slow as you want. Because you have lifetime access, you could jump in and look at it again in like a year if you wanted. That's always an option as well. Get the latest updates on the templates and the tutorials and all that good stuff, especially that I will say, this is what I'm most excited about, is the Career Experts template and example vault, because we're updating those frequently. You can jump in there and jump to the section that you want and go find the template that you need. Oh, Peggy says, I purchased a program for you but cannot access it. Send me an email, Peggy. And Tori, who's my virtual assistant, her and I will make sure you get access to it. It could just be a matter of like your username or your password. Yep. Career Travis Simon says, are you located in the US? Sure are. Yeah. Yes. Helen, hello. I'm so happy that you're here. Says, yes. So the Resume Mastery Pro, if you already have access to it, you will have access to all of the updates. You will also have access to the Career Experts and Template Vault. Hopefully by the end of, I'm not going to say today, because we're going to get a lot of questions about the program and enrollments and things like that. So we're going to be handling a lot of that, but hopefully by the end of Thursday, you'll have access to that as well. Good question. All right, let me jump into some reviews here, because I really want to get these done so that you guys can see. There was these resumes that came in. They were actually pretty good. They're not bad resumes. And by the way, for the folks that submitted them, thank you so much for doing that. These resumes are actually pretty good. But I wanted to show you them because there's just a couple little things here and there that I wanted to point out, because I know a lot of you may or may not have that same question on your resume. So formatting of this resume is not bad. Notice he is following, he or she. I'm not going to say if this is a female or a male because I don't know. This person is not using like columns and tables and any weird ATS formatting stuff, right? Which is good. Very clear formatting. I love that I can see the titles of everything, the section headings, so on and so forth. Also, I left the LinkedIn profile up on the page because I wanted to show you guys how to do this. So if you do not have your LinkedIn profile located on your page, make sure you do that. So linkedin.com, and then you'll have your URL. If you do not have a custom LinkedIn URL, you need to get one. So if your LinkedIn URL is like letters and numbers, you need to get it changed so that it is just your name or some version of your name, right? So keep that in mind. Now, I like Learning and Development Program Manager. The only thing I would say here is make sure that is the title of the position. If it's not, you need to change it to the title of the position. I would like to see a vertical line underneath that. And then I would also like to see these in capital letters. And I would also like to see some version or different version, because you say project and program management, but then you're also saying program manager at the top. I would like to see a different variation of that. And I would also like this to be on one line and capped. So let me show you the master resume example that you guys will get inside of Resume Mastery Pro. And by the way, for some reason, there are lines on this page, but on my playback, it's not showing the lines. I don't know why. Let me see if I were to zoom out, okay, one line showed up. Let me zoom out again. Might be the screen resolution. There we go. It is showing up a little bit, but for some reason, yeah, okay. I'm going to leave it at this resolution for a second, just so you can see what I'm talking about. And by the way, I have this name left aligned and the contact information left aligned. That's okay. You can keep it centered or left aligned. That's not a big issue. But notice how I have a vertical line underneath the title, and then I have the 3 key skills in capped. That's what I want to see for this resume. The title's a little bit bigger. I think that might be a 13-point font, but the rest of it's all the same size. So for resume number 1, I would love to see you do that. Also use that prompt and feed where you're looking for the key skills for that position. Use that prompt that I shared with you earlier and give it the job description so that it will tell you, because it might give you something different. And then remember, for every resume, all you're doing is you're going to change the title and you are going to change the key skills, right? Okay. So here's what we have: Strategic Certification Program Manager. Okay, so notice in this when you say strategic, which I really like that word, but I would love to see you use a couple extra words that describe you. So not just strategic, but what else? Like what other action verbs or words are they using in the job description that are describing their ideal candidate? I want you to put those into that resume. So if I go here, this one says results driven, which is okay. Normally, and in the example I shared with you guys earlier, just the basic resume template summary, I shared with you a couple other skills inside of there, right? I just want you to add some more pizzazz there. Like give us a little bit more than strategic. You could even bold certification program manager if you wanted. That I wouldn't be opposed to that. Let's see, proven expertise in managing, optimize vendor relationships, adept at orchestrating, seamless. Okay, I would be curious to know. I kind of am getting hints of AI in here, which is okay because you definitely need to have AI help you. There are some words, and I'm gonna give you guys some of the words as I see them when I'm using AI to help with the resume. There's one word it uses a lot: orchestrating or orchestrated. I don't know why it uses that word. I'm like, why are you using that? That's like an AI word. So I would say, like, let's use a different word than that. I think this is okay. And And let's also feed this and ask AI, if we have the job description, how can I better tailor the summary? If you needed to do that. All right, areas of expertise. So I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on this. So you could have something called areas of expertise inside of my master resume example. Let me zoom in. I have core competencies. Now, there's a caveat to this section. If you have plenty of work experience, I do not want this at the top of your resume. In fact, you don't even need to put it on your resume, because I want your work experience to be to the closest to the top as possible. So in this case, I don't know if I would even have this in there, because you're saying a decade of experience, but instead, because I think what we're trying to do here is with listing a section like this, you're trying to hit ATS. Like, you're trying to make sure you're passing all the keywords and keyword phrases that ATS might be looking at. But if you have a decade of experience, you're already including that in the work experience. So you don't need to waste space within areas of expertise. And instead, you can now add some other sections at the bottom and get that work experience higher up to the top. The other thing you could consider doing is adding a career highlights section, right? So on the career highlights section, that's going to be your most noteworthy accomplishments. The other part about this section why I like to do that over adding like your areas of expertise or something, is that once you get these 3 bullet points, or sometimes you might even have 4 bullet points for your career highlights, these are your talking points in your interview, because you're now saying, hey, of everything that I've ever done in my career, and I want these guys to look at my resume and convince them within 2 seconds that I should be called in for an interview. Basically, you want to convince them right like this, like right there. And then all they're doing from here is they're going to look at, okay, you got that work experience. That's how long you were there. That was your date. That was your title. They'll jump down to the next one. That was your title. That's the date. That's the company. The next one, da-da-da-da-da. Then maybe they'll like glance down. Okay, you got that degree, da-da-da-da. That's how fast it goes. So you really don't have a lot of time or space, really. You got to get the areas of expertise off of there, and hopefully you've included all of these key skills inside other spots on the resume, if that makes sense. If you wanted to, you could add that career highlights up there. Dates are written well. I do like, okay, so in this case, this individual's worked for the same company. You could see from 2007 to 2024, and then they are breaking down the dates below that. That's totally fine. I would capitalize the title, or you could even capitalize the company. So notice in the example here, my kids are text messaging me. They're like, I haven't had lunch yet. Please send me lunch money. My junior high daughter, she needs some lunch money. She's going to have to wait until this resume review is done. So notice in this example, I'm capitalizing the title. So I would like to see you do some of that as well. It does look like as well you're following really amazing procedures in terms of you're giving us a good like overview of what the position is. I can see that you're also giving us some good achievement statements, but here's the thing. You have to be really careful again about that AI showing its ugly head, right, on your resume, because again, we have the word orchestrated again. So you'll notice that I have orchestrating, orchestrated, and orchestrated again before I'm even on to the second page. So really look at those words and make sure that they're not like showing up on your resume, because you want to make it, you need to have that personalized touch to it. Let me also add something else. This is such a weird formatting thing. It's just my weird formatting brain. Notice in your area of expertise, notice the spacing, even though I did recommend for you to remove that. Notice the spacing compared to between each line, compared to the spacing on the summary and the spacing of your bullet points. You would need to adjust that if you were going to keep it in the resume, because it's just spaced out a little bit too much. The other thing you could do too, I'm a big proponent of when I'm listing a new headline or a new section, I like to put that horizontal line underneath. And I like to have it capped. So make sure you could potentially add a horizontal line. And if you wanted to, I mean, I'm a big fan of having those headlines left aligned. The centering, to me, of the headlines sometimes makes the resume look outdated. A couple things on this next position here. Okay, this very first bullet point, you say stood up an analytic forensic service, reducing our rate of invalid attempts from double digits to less than 3% in 6 months. Okay, that's great. What I don't love about this is that you have the less than 3% in 6 months on one line. That's taking up way too much space. I would either add more detail to this or shorten it so that's on one line. I'd probably add more detail, which is probably easy to do in this case. Notice we're always putting name. Can you guys see page 2? We're always putting name and contact information, like number, on the second page, but I do not want to see page 2. We don't want to put that on there. Notice on Sally Smith, my beautiful Sally Smith, who's my amazing job seeker avatar that I use for everything. We just have her name with the phone number, and the phone number's right aligned. So that's what I'd love to see you do there. I mean, technically, really, the other thing I'd like to see you do, I actually like to see the dates right aligned as well. So, and again, you guys, these are little tiny formatting things, but I got a lot of amazing resumes, and a lot of you guys were more senior level, and I know, I'm like, I just got to give these few little tips here. Make sure your dates are always in the digit format, which you've done well here, but I would also like to see them right aligned on the page. And that's just a preference. Bachelor of Arts, Master of Arts. Okay, let me ask you, why is Bachelor of Arts listed first? I would actually like to see you list Master of Arts and then Bachelor of Arts. Volunteer experience, that's good. Okay, for anyone that's listing volunteer experience, you've done really well up at the top of your resume, really, and this is not necessary for volunteer experience, but it does add a little bit extra. You've done really well listing results-driven achievement statements. Is there a result that we could add in the volunteer area? So volunteer loading food trucks to serve at-risk group across the Denver metro area. Can you talk about how many food trucks? Can you talk about how many at-risk groups? Can you talk about, give me some numbers and data here? Can you talk about progress? Can you talk about what the outcome has been, what the result has been? And then you say multiple house builders and landscaping projects. Can you talk about how many? Can you talk about just that kind of stuff? And notice, so here's the interesting thing. Notice down here, you have your dates all the way listed on the right, but you don't have them that listed on the right for the work experience. So I would pop those all to the right. Plus, the other thing to keep in mind, these are bold, right? Your work experience dates, but your other dates aren't bold. So make sure they're consistent. Okay, one thing I'm missing from this resume, can you guys see the rest of it? Yeah, you can pretty much see the rest of it. I want to see a technical skills section. So here's what I'm wondering. if we were to take your area of expertise and all these amazing keywords and really make sure, okay, we're going to take this section off. Let me make sure that all these words, or most of them, are located in the resume somewhere else. And then that's going to leave a little space for you. You could add career highlights if you wanted, which I really, really, really like that for you. Let me show you the example. Again, you'd pop your highlights right here at the top. But I would also like to see, let me see if you guys can see that. Yeah, you can. You can see part of this. A technical skills section on your resume. So something that is going to show us your technical abilities. If you could get that on the bottom somewhere, even if you did a couple other sections down here, I think that's going to add that's going to be pretty powerful for your resume. And it's going to just elevate it and like make it not look as outdated, right? And you could even use the same font from here. This is the Cambria font inside of Resume Mastery Pro. All right, biggest takeaway so far, you guys type that into the chat. I'm going to see what questions I can answer. If I can find the chat really quickly. Let's see. I know there's a lot of them that have come through. I will go right to let me go to the actual chat box. Yes, awesome. Jill asked a really good question. If we already have the Career Advancement Toolkit, if we purchase Resume Mastery Pro, will the cost be adjusted? So that's a good question, Jill. And that's not something my team and I had decided on, only because the cost of the program is it's actually what we're including in there. Remember, I had mentioned earlier that the total value of everything that we're including in there is 7,370, right? And we're really trying to put it at a price point that works for people. You can send me an email. If you guys have purchased the Career Advancement Toolkit, send me an email. I'll see what type of coupon code we can throw together for you, because I would love to make it work for you as well. There's some other additional resources in there that you could really benefit from. But again, we're really bringing it to a place that, like most people or a lot of people, that it works in their budget, because there's so much in there that we've added, and some of the new things and all the amazing stuff that we've included in that program. So we're trying to bring it to a place that works for most people. Let's see, where am I on questions? There's so many. I'm trying to, Keith had asked about the free link. So, let's see, Keith, the free link to the ATS resume pack, that is heatheraustin.online/ what is it again? Let me see, /resume pack, I think. Yeah, try that. If not, it should be located, or after this live session wraps, I'm going to pop it in the description of the video. Okay. Let me get back. I'm trying to find some good questions about resumes. And I don't see it. Some of you have said, yes, Ava had mentioned earlier as well. Let me see if I can get her comment up here. If our resume isn't chosen today, can we still email you personally to review it, or is it required that we apply for the program first? Okay, so Ava, let me just mention this. A resume review, if you were to purchase a resume review through myself and my team, which normally it's me or one of my amazing team members that will do your resume review for you, I believe that the price on that is $347, which the price of the program is only $397. So that's included inside of the program if you enroll today. However, if later on you're like, oh, I just need the resume review, yes, that's a totally separate, that's a whole separate service that you could purchase later on. In fact, let me see if I can find a link for that. And then if anyone is interested in that, it's in a Google, I got to find my Google sheet really quickly here. Here we go. Okay, I'll pop that in, Ava, if you decide you want to do that. But again, that's pretty much the price of the program. So this is actually a career portfolio review, and that includes a review of your resume, your cover letter, and your LinkedIn profile. So that's in the chat. Yes, Noom had asked a question, is the free resume review still available after the live training? We do resume reviews on this channel every so often. I actually haven't done one for a while. And that's normally the only place that we do our free resume reviews. But again, you could use that chat link if you would like to invest or join us inside of purchase that product. That link is in there as well. Love it. Okay, biggest takeaway. Type that into the chat if you guys have not yet already done that. Maria says, how to best handle this job market when you receive feedback that you were overqualified for the job and make it to final round of interviews? Oh, this is such a good question. So this is a common theme or a common occurrence among some of our more seasoned professionals, right? So when we look at overqualified positions, there's so many things that we could consider. Sorry, let me leave your question up here on the window. I would say, Maria, really to analyze and think about what positions are you applying for. I mean, we do know that ageism is a thing because we do know that an employer can hire someone younger, maybe someone more fresh to the market. They may not have all the experience and all the wisdom that a more seasoned professional might have, but the employer can pay them less, right? So in this case, really what you have to focus on is what skills or what qualifications do you have that maybe a younger, fresher, someone out of college, or maybe someone that doesn't have your experience, what are you bringing to the table that they can't? Now, the other thing that you have to really consider here is this is where a lot of people get into trouble is how much are they going to pay you? Because a lot of times you're used to getting paid a certain amount in your career, right? And you want that trajectory to keep going up and up and up and up. Well, are you worth that? And if you are, you have to really show them that, hey, someone that doesn't have the experience that I have, they're not going to perform like I do. They're not going to bring in the revenue like I do. They're not going to be able to cut costs for the company like I can. And that's why I'm worth that extra whatever, right? So that's really the two things you have to keep in mind is what wisdom, what knowledge, what are you bringing to the table, but then why are you worth that to them, right? Now, when it comes to the final round of interviews and they tell you that, I mean, technically that is age discrimination. And, you're saying they say you're overqualified. That's not necessarily age discrimination, but it kind of leads into that. So I would say, are there other positions in that company that you may be interested in? Are there other avenues that you could explore maybe with companies that are similar? I mean, if you're making it onto the final round of interviews, that's a really, really, really good sign. We don't always know when an ideal candidate is picked, and they don't always tell you truthfully why you weren't picked. So I would be really careful of that. And I would also, if you can ask them for advice, ask them, when you say I'm overqualified, can you be more specific? Can you tell me what was it that you believe makes me overqualified, right? And they might come out and say, hey, you just asked for too much money, or we just feel like you're not going to be satisfied here long term, or whatever it might be. So keep that in mind. Good question, though. Okay, yes. Let's see, what else do we have? Hello, Frank. So happy to see you. I haven't seen you in the live chat for a while. Maybe you have been here and I just haven't seen you. I would say ask ChatGPT, what's another word for orchestrate? You could also go to this is a tongue twister, the thesaurus in Word and get some other options for that word. I just know from using AI every day and helping folks with their resumes every day that it's a word that it keeps coming up. And I always have to go in and say, can you please refrain from using some of these AI heavy words that you like to use, like orchestrate or whatever. And I'll give it an example. And it does pretty good, but there are times where sometimes it doesn't do so good. And that's why you can't always just depend on AI 100% of the time, because you have to go in and do some of the revisions yourself. Let's see. Yes, good question. Maria says, guidance on listing work experience that is older than 10 years, is that relevant? I don't like to go any longer than 10 to 15. It does depend on, again, the position, the company, the industry. Most employers are looking for what are you doing right now? They want to know your most relevant work experience. Now, you might have something from 15 years ago that's amazing and awesome. Let me pop up the template really quick so you can I can show you how I would actually write that. Let me show this again really quick. On the resume template here, if you guys can see that. Yeah, you can see, and there's actually a line under education. I don't know why it's not showing up, but the company ABC and then a senior account manager position. This is an older position that I'm listing here, right? But I'm not listing details about it. I'm just showing them that, hey, I was a senior account manager. And the reason why I'd be including that on there is because it relates specifically to that job. And I want to show them that I have that experience. You don't always have to list older positions, but that is one way that you can do it, because yeah, you do not normally want to go back 10 to 15 years on a resume. That's a good question, because again, they just want to know what you're doing right now. Okay, Victoria, hello, says, I meant a question. If you signed up as a volunteer to ask people to exercise the right to vote, is that okay to put on your resume? I think that's totally fine. I think it depends on how you frame that. I would also think about, why are you putting it on there? Make sure it relates to the position. If you are putting it on there, can you put metrics and data to it to show that you are, again, results oriented, that you have an outcome, that you are adding value, right? We really need to think in terms of that, not just to put something, right? That's a good question though. Yes, good, okay. Let me see what else. There was something else that popped up I wanted to address. Yeah, so someone had said this technical skills were not mentioned, probably because of the target role. What would be necessarily required for the target role? So with the technical skills section, I love this section right now on resumes, because I work with a lot of like seasoned professionals, right? And a lot of times that's like not on the top of their mind sometimes. And we have to bring your resume up to date with some sort of technical skills to show your versatility. And I'm always a big fan of adding like AI training in there if you're getting it, adding any new software skills that you're learning. Anytime that you can add any sort of technical skills on your resume, and I'm not even just saying, and I know in the template I say Microsoft Office, but it's like, we already know, like almost everyone knows how to use that, right? Or Google Docs or whatever, or Google G Suite or whatever they're calling it now, right? Workspaces. So I like that stuff, but I also like the more granular items as well, because it shows that you're staying up to date, that you can keep up with technology, that you're versatile. So I would always have that on a resume for sure. Yes, awesome. Okay, I am going to, let's see, there's a couple more questions I wanted to answer. Yes, I love it. Peggy had mentioned a couple things. I love you, Peggy. You're so awesome. Instead of orchestrate, there's things like manage, coordinate, organize, design, plan, prepare, craft, devise, arrange, etc. In fact, let me show you a slide too. I didn't show this slide because I have so many slides, and you guys, if you decide to join us inside of Resume Mastery Pro, you'll have access to all this as well. But inside of this slide, this was like just some examples of what you can use for that little formula, right? Your action verb, where these are a bunch of them: coordinated, executed, oversaw, revitalized, streamlined, launched. I was going to say, if I have orchestrated on this list, I am going to be so mad at myself because I just told you not to use it. And I'm really glad I don't have it on there. So keep that in mind. These are just some keywords that you could use for that action verb before your performance statements. And then Peggy listed some other ones as well. Thanks, Peggy. I love it. Yes, good question. So Travis also said, do you prefer looking at PDF files or Word files? So Word files, in my opinion, are really great for the AI to look at because it can parse the information better. In fact, let me show you another slide I didn't show you guys. I'm full of slides here. I am such a visual learner. And by the way, we do talk about this inside of our program, but another thing, like Word is great because it allows the ATS, the screener, to parse the resume. It scans it, ranks it, scores it, filters it. A PDF document I like if you're sending it to an individual person. Now, here's the thing. With AI changing so much, we're actually finding that sometimes PDF files are just fine to send, and it's able to scan and sort and parse and all that information properly in a PDF. And who knows, maybe in 6 months, we're all going to be looking at PDFs and no one's going to have a Word resume, right? But you got to create it in Word to get it into PDF. Yes, I love it. Thanks you guys so much. So many amazing comments. You guys, we had a power pack session today. We've gone, well, we didn't really have a time limit, but my time limit was 5 minutes ago. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off. If you guys have not yet hit that like button on this video, make sure you do so. If you have not yet hit the subscribe button, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We do live trainings here on this channel every month. We also have videos that we publish every week or so on this channel as well. Make sure you check out all the latest content on the YouTubes of all the ATS resumes and cover letters and LinkedIn profiles and all that good stuff. That's all there for you free. If you decide to join us inside of Resume Mastery Pro, you will get your special invite-only link to our career and job search coaching session on November 21st. You'll also get a link to submit your resume for a personalized review. And it's not just me as a computer reviewing your resume. It's me, like it's me reviewing your resume, not as a computer, but as me, right? So you'll get access to that. You'll also have access to all the amazing bonuses that I shared with you in addition to the main modules and lessons inside of Resume Mastery Pro. And if you do have questions during the program, you can email me at heather@professораustin.com. Thank you so much to all of those that are joining us in the program. If you have questions in the meantime, reach out. We are here for you. We are going to provide even more amazing trainings coming up here on the channel in the next couple months to get you guys ready for 2025, including job search planning and all that amazing stuff. So hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, and say hello in the chat if you haven't already done so, or pop it into the comments below and we will be in touch. Thanks, you guys.